Hello, everyone. It is 11:30 Central, and we will get started. Thank you for tuning in to today's presentation on harnessing growth, hands-on hydroponics and aquaponics education. My name is Kelsey, and I will be your moderator for today's presentation. First, here is your 30-second introduction to Realityworks for those of you who aren't familiar with us. We are an employee-owned company based in Eau Claire, Wisconsin that creates experiential learning tools for teaching job and life skills. We got our start over 20 years ago when former NASA engineer Rick Germain created the first RealCare baby infant simulator, then went on to found the company that is now Realityworks. Today, our training tools combine curriculum with hands-on learning tools, student activities, and assessments. Baby is still around, but now you can look to us for tools like our bovine birthing and ultrasound simulator, our virtual reality welding simulator, wearable geriatric sensitivity suits, and if you have some time, we encourage you to check out the website and see it all. Presenting today, we have with us Jamie McIntosh. He is the Education Programs Manager here at Realityworks. Jamie has been with the company for over 10 years and came to Realityworks with an extensive education background as a former educator teaching in Wisconsin and Colorado. His topics cover student engagement, technology in the classroom, filling the skills gap, business education, and various agriculture and welding topics. Before we get started, I want to cover a couple things. First, today's presentation has been pre-recorded, and all attendees will receive a link containing the recording, as well as a copy of the PowerPoint slides and free resources. For those of you attending live today, you will also receive a certificate of completion for attending today's presentation. Keep an eye on your email. You will receive that email within 24 hours after the presentation, and we will have time at the end for Q&A, so feel free to type your questions in the chat or Q&A feature located at the bottom of your screen. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pass things over to Jamie.
Excited to be here and talk about this. We have some pretty exciting opportunities here, and we've been working very closely with both hydroponics and now aquaponics. So excited to get started in that world. So really want to start with just the learning opportunities that come with things like growing hydroponically or growing aquaponically. And so in this case, all of this ability to grow food, to harvest fish, all the different things that you can do here is very important. And we see it as huge learning opportunities for your students, from things like career exploration, STEM, sustainability, the farm to fork movement, also focusing on just learning engagement for your students to get them engaged in the learning process and understanding, and hopefully opening and broadening their minds to a better understanding of ways we grow things, why we do things like aquaponics and hydroponics. So there's a lot of rich opportunity here within these worlds of education. So to kind of just start us out, I have the kind of the beginning mode of want everyone to be on the same page, where want everybody to understand the different types of hydroponics, aquaponics, what they all are. So this might be new to you. This might be something that you have a very extensive knowledge in, but want to just make sure we're all kind of talking from the same level here. So just want to go through the different types of hydroponic systems that are out there. So we would say there are really kind of four types of hydroponic systems. Then there is aeroponics, and then also aquaponics. So there are different types in that. The first one in the hydroponic world is what we call a deep water culture. This is, again, all of hydroponics, again, growing has to do with the ability to grow without soil, but actually with water. And so in this case, the nutrients is going to be delivered through the water, and then the plants will grow in water. So the deep water culture is a type of growing system where it's just that it's deep water. The nutrients are within the water, and the plant roots just kind of get soaked up and soak up that nutrients. The next type is a little different, where now there's kind of some activity going on here, is an ebb and flow, where the water is kind of flooding the plants for a while, and then it drains away, and then it floods it, and then drains away, and allowing that movement of that water. The plant systems, the roots themselves, are actually kind of grabbing on as that water and nutrients is flowing, grabbing that nutrients as it goes kind of by and works through. So the ebb and flow system. The next one is what is known as a drip system. So a drip system is where water is basically being dripped in or dropped on to the plants themselves. The nutrients are in there, and then after the plants kind of take up that nutrients, the water is released by the plant into the basin or um, the reservoir, and then new nutrient solution is put in, and kind of the system is brought through again. So kind of a cyclical cycle in that drip system there. And then the last one here is our nutrient film technique. And in this case, it's one of those things where usually the a gravity is playing a part here, where there's a slight tilt in the movement or in the basin itself, and the water then has nutrients on one side. The nutrients then kind of works its way down through gravity, and the plants take that up as it goes, and then from there it drains in the water without the nutrients, and then it gets the new nutrients, and it goes back up again. So those are kind of our four main hydroponic type growing types, and each one of them serves a different purpose, a different way to show and use, but all of them kind of are the same, where you have nutrients that you put into water. The water then is put by or in with the plants themselves. The plants take that, not only the water, but the nutrients. It helps them grow. They still need the sunlight, they still need air movement, but then from there, then those different techniques helps that plant grow, and then we get our different produce or plants in that world. So the next kind of focus here is two separate ones here, and we'll talk about aeroponics. Aeroponics is one that a lot of times you will see, and the thing I always kind of tell people about is it's kind of like the misters at the grocery store when you go into the produce area, where they mist to keep some water on the produce. Same kind of thing happens here. Aeroponics is that it's in the air, it gets mist spray, which then allows those nutrients on the roots themselves. The thing that a lot of times people, and why they would do this, is in very dry areas, or where you don't want a lot of evaporation from having just a pool of water. You would do a misting, so then the water would be there, and then plants would use it, and then it'd be gone. Something new, and one of the things we're going to talk about more today, is the last one that's different than hydroponics, is aquaponics. And aquaponics is becoming a bigger and bigger trend. There's a lot of different sustainability focuses on aquaponics. And the big thing here is you are allowing two different sources to help each other. So in aquaponics here, we have the nutrients coming from fish, and then going to the plant. So I'm just going to dig in a little deeper in this world and talk a little bit more about that. So just to give a little bit more understanding of that, one of the things that happens here is that nutrients comes from the fish's waste, actually. So the fish, they go to the bathroom, they have their waste. In that case, then it is now in the water. Well, that waste has nutrients. It has ammonia, it's nitrogen, and it provides nutrients to the plants. So the plants then kind of take that waste and use it for nutrients to grow themselves. What that does is that by doing that, if you would never clean out a fish tank, or you never clean out the fish pond there, it would continue to grow and cause problems for the fish at some point to become an unhealthy level. So what you do with that is you have the plants take care of that for you. They take that nutrients in, they then start to grow, it cleans the water, and we have kind of a whole cycle in that sense. So how does it work? Just very simply, you feed your fish. The fish then have waste. That waste helps feed the plants. From those plants starting to grow, they also are cleaning the water because they're taking all that nutrients. And then that clean water is then used for keeping the fish healthy as well. So a nice little kind of diagram here just to show you how aquaponics works. And it's there's different ways to kind of build it and set it up, but it is that place where you have the fish doing the work to get the nutrients for the growing. Now, the other piece of this then is as this happens, you're not only growing the lettuce or the tomatoes or whatever type of produce you want, you're also growing the fish. And so you feed those fish, they get bigger. You now have not only, a source of food with the plants, you also have a source of food with the fish. And so it gives you more sustainability, more opportunities in that case. So let's dig in a little bit to some key reasons for growing systems and the importance and the usefulness in an educational classroom. So some of the things that can be helpful outside of just let's grow to understand the growing process is what does this type of work do? What doing this, how does it change things? So, things like saving time, it speeds up the ability for you to grow because you can have artificial lighting, you can have artificial nutrients for these animals or these fish all the time. It also can save space. As we are, more and more population, less and less farmland or ability to do that, it helps in that sense to be able to reduce the space, but still have the same growing power in that sense. It can eliminate chemicals. There's much more ability to regulate what you're putting in, what you're not putting in, different types of organic material instead of chemical material. So there's a lot of different things in that world. It uses less water, so resource availability, and then also food security. So let's talk a little bit about some of these things. The first one I want to talk about is limited space. In many locations, especially in the classrooms, and we'll talk about cities and where you grow, but especially in educational systems, growing in a hydroponic or aquaponic world can actually reduce the amount of space because you maybe don't have the land mass, the area to be able to grow plants in the ground. These systems allow people to grow gardens in limited spaces. So our systems that we have at Realityworks are what we call shelf model types. So they are a shelf unit. They go vertically more than horizontally. And so they are space savers. And it allows the space that you are using to be used at kind of a higher rate. It can also be clean and efficient. So this type of farming grows in a very clean way. So without soil, there's no dirt there. So the cleanup, things of that nature, it's very clean. And then because of things like the grow lights, like the amount of nitrogen and different types of nutrients that you put into your system, those types of things, you can actually have the lights on 24 hours a day, getting a full sun all the time. Well, that can grow and become more efficient in the sense of how long it takes a plant to grow. The other piece of that is this can help in that kind of growing time save and help with some food shortage and growing issues. So this type of farming can solve some of those food shortage. So something that used to take 40 to 50 days to grow in the soil, with the ability to have light all day long, it could take 30 days. It could take 25 days. So the amount of time that you can get from seed to plant, or the start of a fry to a full-grown fish, can be changed based on the different things that you do to help that growing system. The other thing is, in a lot of places, weather conditions can be a big issue, and we're seeing that with discussions on climate change and weather changes or harsher conditions. Well, people can grow both hydroponics and aquaponics year round. You can be in Alaska in cold temperatures and still be growing year round. You can be in Arizona in the deserts and still be growing year round when it's extreme hot and very little water opportunities there. So large scale crop production is there, but you can do it on a small scale. And again, there's no weather conditions. So if a tornado comes through, if you're doing this in the basement of your house, or the basement of a school, or you're doing it in a warehouse, you don't have to have light all the time. You don't have to worry about rain. You don't have to worry about hail. There's all these different things. You have a closed system. You can determine what those weather patterns are going to be and what you want to be, how much light, how much water, how much nutrients you're going to actually give to those plants. So, another thing then is it can increase your growth rate and the time to harvest. And we kind of talked a little bit about this, where there's a lot of opportunities to increase that time to market. But another feature is also biosecurity. We are hearing more and more, and it's a piece of the puzzle too, of not only where does your food come from, but is your food safe? Is it safe from different types of diseases or in, uh, parasites and things that are happening in this world? Well, we can kind of create a safe and secure way to make sure we know what we're putting into it, what's affecting it, and then again, when you grow it in that world as well. The last one then is the big piece here from an education standpoint. This allows you to test and experiment with all of these different features, from environmental changes you can do to growing methodologies to number of plants to types of fish. All of these things are able to be experimented with in a closed setting, in an opportunity to learn, and kind of a learning lab setting within your classroom, your greenhouse, in areas of that world. So with that, some of these kind of main features here, what we want to do is just kind of help you start thinking about how you could get a program started and off the ground in your school today. So, to get started with, knowing and understanding the different parts of pieces. We've talked a little bit about this, but if we're talking hydroponics, we're talking aquaponics, there is going to be a light system. Grow lights help mimic the sunlight. And so, having a system that is allowing you to get the best kind of light structure to have that growing ability is very important. Fans are also important. The ability to strengthen your plants, and that movement back and forth is going to be very important. So reducing disease by not having stagnant air, but having that movement is also important in this world. And then water pumps, being able to circulate the water so the nutrients can get to all plants, not just some of them. Or in the world of soil growing, if you missed fertilizer, if you missed some sort of a protection for your plants, that plant could be withered and died. In this case, you can make sure that every single plant that you have is being protected in the ways you need it. Another thing that we focus on is what can you do and what can you plant and work with that. From a hydroponic side, or I'll just say the growing side, we have a lot of different types of plants that you can grow, from cabbage to cucumbers, kale, lettuce is the big one that you're going to see all the time. And then how quickly can you actually grow these different things? And again, this is a great learning opportunity for your students to be able to take data, figure out what's going, measure the growth, all these different abilities in that world. Now, from that world, the other great piece about this is, both hydroponically speaking and aquaponics speaking, we have great kind of crossover of the different types of vegetables that you can use, from lettuce, broccoli, cauliflower, carrots. A large amount of different vegetables can be grown and tried in this world. Now, when we talk aquaponics speaking, there are a variety of different fish that you can also grow. So some of the main type of fish that usually you would grow, from fry, which is the little baby fish, to a full grown fish, is tilapia. That is one of the best known ones. But things like cod and perch, some of these things that, again, once they are full grown, that you can then harvest and do fish fries, you can and do fish bakes, broils, you can use as a food source. But there's also things like koi and goldfish, where you can use those as pets, as a selling to uh, pet stores and to different people to then actually have as a a pet situation. So aquaponics and the fish has a large amount of different opportunities there. There's also things like the largemouth bass and rainbow trout that can do very well in an aquaponic system. In some of those cases, it might be for recreation of growing them to a size where they could then be released into the wild, being able to then populate different lakes and streams, working with your DNR, making sure that that's all acceptable, but also being able to, look at ways to, again, not only just grow for the purpose of growing, but then the usage, the business opportunities, the career opportunities that can come along with this as well.
Thanks, Jamie. Before we dive into the specifics on our hydroponics line, I'd like to introduce Brenda Collins from Wheatmore Middle School and play a short video from her on the advantages of hydroponics in the classroom.
Hi, my name's Brenda Collins. I'm a 6th through 8th grade agriculture teacher here in Trinity, North Carolina. I teach at Wheatmore Middle School, and I wanted to introduce you to one of the favorite things that I've had going on this year, which is this Realityworks hydroponics unit. And I wanted to just share with you some of the things that I really liked about it, some of the things that I might have learned about it, and some of the ways that I make it work in my classroom. One of the things I wanted to speak to as to why I chose to use this hydroponics unit, I don't have a lot of room here, and we used to be a bigger school, and so we had a lot of mobile units behind my classroom here. Not any room for putting in a garden bed, not any room for building a greenhouse, not to mention the expense of that for a middle school program. So we've since removed the mobile units, and now we have raised beds outside. But this has just really helped because this grows year round, and I've had stuff growing in here since I got this in September. The lettuce grows extremely quickly, and in fact, I have it on low right now, and that lettuce is probably just a few weeks old. And I was put it on low trying to keep it from growing too fast. And obviously you can see it's more than ready for harvest at this point. I like using this with kids because they get a chance to see all stages of the aspect of growing things here in an alternative setting. I also allow them to do things like check the pH. We use just a simple pH meter like this, which they can just stick down in here or down into the water capacity, the water tank down here, and check the pH. So they're getting some hands-on activities in starting the seeds and putting them into the grow unit, and then also obviously eating them, which is really what they, I think, enjoy the best, is the eating part. If you're wondering how things will grow, I want to show you the root system to the tomatoes. I've actually had to prune it because they had gotten so thick and so large, and you can see that those got some nice strong roots, and the tomatoes are doing really, really well. I'd like to try some different herbs. I've done cilantro, I've done different types of basils, and obviously different types of lettuce. The unit's really easy to use. It's got this handy little display. It tells me the temperature, it tells me the tank, it tells me the time, and it tells me the growth cycle that I have on. A lot of my students, in fact, most of my students, do not have any gardening experience. They do not grow. They do not live on farms. We are more of a bedroom community of Greensboro, High Point area. And so this is a chance for some of them to physically grow something and consume something that they've grown throughout the school year. And I wanted to give you my top 3 tips that I would use or that I wish I had known ahead of time by using this hydroponics set. First of all, you'll notice that it looks a little bit more empty than it did. We've eaten our lettuce. The kids have had a lot of fun. And probably my first tip is to make sure you're planning ahead. I've already got some little lettuce seedlings there and some more started down here, which will become our next batch of lettuce. Now we have about a month of school left. And if I turn the grow speed on too fast, they will grow plenty fast to give them another batch of lettuce. So my first hint, my first tip would be that plan ahead so that you always have something that you're putting back into your unit after you've pulled something out of the unit. The second tip is sort of planning ahead. I did not do that, and you can see my tomato in particular here is reaching the top. This unit is made so that there is a larger opening on the bottom, and had I done this again, I would have started the tomatoes down there where they would have a little bit more room to grow. However, at this point, the roots are so thick and the roots are so dense that I could not easily put it down. So I've just let them grow up there, and they're doing fine, but planning to put the larger items down here on the bottom would work better with this additional space that you have here. The third tip I would do is let students grow as much as you can. And I try to do a variety of different things. Most of my students have not, like I said, come from a farm background. Some of them have never even had a garden. Some of them have never eaten fresh produce. So I try to let them do as much as they can. I introduce them to different pieces of equipment like our pH meter. I introduce them to how do we monitor and change the pH and the electric conductivity of the nutrient mix the water that we're putting in. I let them fill up the water. And obviously we get to do some of the harvesting of the products. So I hope these helped. Just 3 tips that I have, and I've greatly enjoyed this unit and plan to for the next year. Thanks.
So with that being said, and with our time here, I want to go through and talk a little bit about the systems that we have here at Realityworks, and then the resources that we want to help you with. So first off, we have our plant lab unit. Our plant lab unit is a hydroponic system. The plant lab unit has 3 different shelves, and each shelf has its own tank, and they're all combined are 33 plant sites that you can build. So 11 on each shelf for 33 total. It comes with your LED grow lights. It comes with your fans and your water pump. This is a great system where you could have different types of produce on every single shelf unit to be able to then grow produce. Another product that we have is our plant producer unit. Now this one's a little different, where you have one water source at the bottom, and that same nutrient water source, it then is for all 3 shelves. It's 3 shelves. There are 42 sites, plant sites on this, and this is more of that production where I want to grow a lot of lettuce because I'm going to produce it and I'm going to sell it to at our farmers market, to our schools, to different consumers. So this is more of that producer where you have one place where you put all your nutrients in. It then feeds all the shelves, and you can grow different types of food, but you're trying to grow, and a lot of times you're doing it in a larger scale opportunity there. Another product we have is our plant mini hydroponic system. So this case is you get a 5-pack of these mini hydroponic units. In this case, you are able to then grow plants in every single unit there. It has both an ebb and flow and a deep water culture, and you can also do microgreens. So this is great for that culinary classroom, for that experimentation where students use different types of grow types and also different type of plant types to grow. This is that ability for you to be able to grow and have different options in the growing process there as well. So when you look at these here, we really want to then jump to our last focus here, which is now our newest product, and that is our aquaponics system. So let us go into our aquaponics system here and talk through our newest product. So to get us started here, I have a short video that I want to share with you.
Here at Realityworks, we are excited to introduce our aquaponics educational system. Now, we're in our test lab where for the last 2 years, we have been going over how to create a very unique and usable learning lab for aquaponics. So you can see here in our test lab, we have been growing different produce. We have our fish. You know, from a lot of different aquaponics systems, you have the full systems that can take up a lot of space in your classrooms and be very extensive. And so what we've done is, after talking to a lot of educators, talking to experts, and also students, to say, how can we create a learning lab for aquaponics? We have created our own aquaponics system. Now, like our hydroponics units, this is a contained shelf unit on wheels that allows you to not only grow your produce, but has a tank that allows you to be able to grow fish as well. The cool thing about it is with this learning lab, you have storage space here, so you can put your needed materials in here. It's all self-contained. You have your ability to do your growing of plants with a deep water culture growing method. And then we have our unit here, where in here you can have probably about 8 to 10 fish at total, depending on the size of them. It has a see-through area here where you can look at it. And then the really cool thing is in this whole learning lab is it has the biofilter, it has the bell siphons. It shows students you can open this up. So this can be closed or open, and it gives you all these different features to be able to learn how it's self-sustaining, how it goes into the biofilter, where it goes and then comes back up and feeds the plants and goes back in. So it's a learning lab activity where you can get your students to understand. It's movable, it's very compact for your students to be able to use and be able to research and understand aquaponics to its full extent. It also comes with curriculum, allowing those students to learn first and then actually get their hands-on learning experience with this product.
So with that, kind of a visual there for you to see that. And what the whole purpose here is, again, to get that learning opportunity for your students. So this aquaponics educational system is a standalone aquaponics system where it has deep water culture. So in this case, those plants grow because of the fish tank and the fish. It actually shows all the interactions there. We have a 14 plant site growing for this, and then also a 25-gallon freshwater tank for between about 5 to 10 fish. So this compact size allows that learning lab of what aquaponics is, how to use it, what you need to do, and how to grow. It also includes all the things that you need. So right out of the box, you can add water to it, add your fish, get your plants started to grow, because it has this open concept biofilter with the bell siphons to move the fish nutrients to the plant. So the students can actually see what's happening, seeing all that, the waste of the fish waste, and, it all kind of churning up and being there, and then it moving to and going to the next area where, hey, now we're going to actually put this in, and then seeing at the end of it where, hey, wait, look at the water's now clean because that nutrient was all picked up by those plants, and then the fresh water is going to come back to the fish tank for the fish to be able to live in there as well. So all of that included, and then it also has this top shelf for storage and heavy duty wheels for mobility. So you can move it or keep it in a place, and they're locking wheels, so you can put it where you need to. But again, have it in the classroom, have it in your greenhouse, have it in places where students can see it, can be engaging with it, but then also can be very usable for teaching them aquaponics in this world. At the same time, with all of our products here, we have different curriculums that go along with, so it teaches you how the growing system works. So we have aquaponics worksheets and PowerPoint slides. We have hydroponic worksheets, PowerPoint slides, activities. So first, the students can learn all about the growing methodology, and then from there, they can go ahead and actually do the actual steps of growing plants, of harvesting and growing fish, and working in that world. So we start with, here's how it works, then we give them the activities. Go do the learning, do the hands-on learning, that it reinforces these concepts that we are talking about. So our hydroponics and aquaponics systems work together to try to be able to show and help you to be able to teach these different types of growing methodologies. Now, with that, we also have some resources for you for your classroom. So these resources will be given to you. I am going to click on this link here. It brings you right to our website here, and it will walk you through all the different parts and pieces of how to grow, the important pieces, how to implement into your classroom, our different packages that you can go ahead and go out and look at and view, both the prices and then also what is included in those different products. And then There's also some free resources. In this case, there's a free infographic poster. There's a blog. There is some testimonials, and then there's also curriculum samples for you as well. All of these things are additional resources that will be included in this webinar, but are for you to be able to go out, use for understanding more, and also creating understanding in your students as well. In that world. So these free resources are for you to help you gain an understanding, and then also be able to see how it could be useful and implemented into your classroom. So with that, if you are interested or have questions, feel free to reach out to us here at Realityworks. We love to help to formulate different ways that you can implement this into your classroom, and we'd love to be of help there. We also want to have a little question and answer time right now. So if there's any questions, feel free to put those in the chat, and then we will work on answering it and working with you with those questions right now.